from Union Station. I'd like to read just the opening paragraph of my introduction to my book, which is called The Beginning. And you'll see why in a moment. Sometime in 1934, two men got off separate trains at Union Station in Washington, D.C. They had arrived in the nation's capital to fight on different sides of a war. It was a war few Americans knew, or even now know, was raging all around the capital. One man, in his early 30s, had come to expand the reach of the secret communist apparatus already entrenched inside the U.S. government. The other man, age 60, had come to expose it. The name of the younger man was Whittaker Chambers. Later, he would become the most famous ex-communist to bear witness to the conspiracy he had served. The older man, William A. Wirt, would die in obscurity. Now, of course, we are right a stone's throw from Union Station, and indeed, as I came through this morning, I thought of this vignette. I always do. These two men, they arrived in Washington on different days, the same season, it seems, early, the first half of 1934. And the two vignettes here, one of the conspirator on one hand, and the man who came to expose the conspiracy, in many ways set up the thematic structure of my book. In one sense, the book is really a story of 20th century American history told from the vantage point of trying to sort out the conspirators and those who would expose the conspiracy, the people who suppressed the facts, and the people who were trying to bring them into the open. And I would start by saying that to date, it is the conspirators that have won, which I think makes our claims of victory in the Cold War quite questionable. Just think of the Marxist occupation of practically every college campus in America and try to reconcile that with notions of Cold War victory. And as for those I call the truth tellers in my book, it is my hope that this book does at least bring them some long overdue recognition. It is these patriots who are the inspirational core of what is, yes, very much a dark tale. To date, these people have, these Americans and some foreigners, have really been paved over and forgotten, for the most part, by the history that has been written, yes, by the victors. I would include among these, just to give you an example of some names that I doubt are too familiar necessarily, Major George Racy Jordan, who in 1949 and 1950 testified on the Hill before Congress as to the transfer of atomic materials to the Soviet Union during World War II, which is a story most of us have not heard. Another one would be the great journalist Julius Epstein, who triggered congressional investigations by about 1950, 1951, to assess, to analyze, to codify the guilt of the Soviet Union in the Katyn Forest Massacre, which to date had officially been accepted by the United States government as a German war crime. So this was also very important. I would also include in that group a very notorious name, but Senator Joe McCarthy. These are the truth tellers, the investigators, people trying to get their hands around this conspiracy that for the most part has been successfully hidden away from us.